This dam collapse in Iowa, on a collision course with an entire town.
We could be wiped out. It was scary. This is my town. What's going to happen if it's wiped away?
Hundreds evacuated in a catastrophe of epic proportions.
You don't have a minute. You need to get out now.
An engineering mistake exposed by Mother Nature.
The power of water, a single rainfall event, almost without warning, can result in the failure of a dam that's been in existence for roughly 100 years.
Iowa, in the heart of America, is home to hundreds of rural communities like Hopkinton, a small town that grew up on the banks of the Maquoketa River. Kathy Harris is former mayor.
Hopkins has always been my home. It has grown. I mean, we're a population of 628 now. I enjoy the small town life. When somebody's sick, somebody needs something, we're there for them. And that's just the way Hopkins is. So that's why it's so special to me.
Around 15 kilometers upriver lies Lake Delhi. Now a hotspot for fishing and recreation, its dam was once a source of power for Hopkinton.
Delhi Dam was built in the 1920s as a hydroelectric power station and generated electricity for about 40 years until the turbines were switched off in 1973.
Engineer Randy Rattenberg is president of the dam's operating company.
These are the original inlets where the turbines were. This is where the water would flow into to spin the turbines. Right now we're in the turbine room. These are original from the construction of the dam. So the purpose of these turbines was to generate the hydroelectric power, which is the reason the dam was built to begin with.
Completed in 1929, the dam beside the powerhouse had a 26-meter-wide spillway designed to release water during periods of high flow.
The old dam had 3 gates. We're actually standing over the top of them right now. This area is part of the original structure built in the 20s.
Holding back the rest of Lake Delhi was a 150-meter-long earthen embankment, around 18 meters high, with a reinforced concrete wall at its core to anchor the dam in place. Professor of Engineering Larry Weber is a hydraulics expert.
In many cases, there will be a portion of the dam that's concrete. That's where the structure of the dam is. And then there's a larger earthen embankment, just to hold the water back.
For more than 100 years, the dam controlled the flow of water to the river below, while Lake Delhi itself became one of the county's most sought-after suburbs. On July 22, 2010, a heavy storm began to fall on the Maquoketa River. At one point, 25 centimeters fell in just 12 hours.
And so there was a warning that went to communities downstream of a potential dam failure at Lake Delhi.
If the dam burst, the small town of Hopkinton would be the first in its path. In the early hours of the morning, Mayor Kathy Harris received a knock at her door.
It was about 6 o'clock on July 24th. I looked out my bedroom window and I see the fire chief. I said, "What's going on, Craig?" And he said, "They think the dam is going to break. We are evacuating this area."
Delhi Dam engineer Randy Rattenberg had a bird's-eye view of the impending disaster.
Me and another guy were up in a plane and we were taking pictures. I'm watching and I'm just like, wow, this is really bad. This is not going to go away anytime soon.
Randy was right. At 12:49, the roadway across the dam dropped into the deluge. 11 minutes later, the entire embankment failed.
All the water that was being held back from upstream went downstream. It was pretty dramatic.
Around 2 million liters of water per second were now flooding down river, rocks, and roads straight towards Hopkinton.
There's houses that are just gone now because the ground that they were sitting on doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
As the torrent continued, the outskirts of Hopkinton were engulfed in a wall of water.
When it came with such a force. When you looked at it, it looked like a big ocean down here. It came over the road here and back through here. That is the highest I have ever seen the water. It was scary.
When the flood subsided, questions were being asked. Why had this historic dam failed? Was it an act of God or an engineering catastrophe?
Town could have been gone. It was scary. Something that I'd never want to live through again.
In the aftermath of the disaster, an investigation was launched to find out exactly what had gone wrong. The dam's 3 spillway gates, designed to prevent an overflow, were the first port of call.
A year before the dam burst, it was clear that one of the spillway gates needed repair. But by the time the dam broke, the works didn't appear to have been completed.
They had 2 of the 3 gates opening. The third one was open partially, but it was not able to be opened completely.
The investigation concluded that even a fully functioning third gate wouldn't have saved the dam.
At its peak, more than 2 million liters of water were pushing against the dam every second. Even with all 3 gates fully open, the spillways could only cope with half that amount.
And so that caused the lake level to rise more and a little faster until ultimately the lake level rose to a point where it overtopped the dam.
Evidence in the rubble explained why the overtopping had caused such destruction in the embankment. The height of the concrete core.
The concrete core in the dam was at a certain design height. The lake level rose to a point higher than that. That caused seepage to happen. And that water seepage caused some erosion to the interior core of the dam.
The reinforced concrete wall was around 1.8 meters lower than the top of the embankment. As flooding made its way over the top, water eroded the earth in a process known as piping, and the whole thing started to collapse.
Piping happens when fast-flowing water gets into a dam or embankment, eroding soil and creating a long cavity or pipe. In some cases, it can cause a catastrophic failure of the structure.
As it overtopped, the force of the water was simply too much for the 80-year-old structure to bear.
This event tested that dam to a level it had never seen before. A single storm in the Maquoketa River. It was a single watershed, but in that watershed it was devastating.
In the wake of the collapse, the dam was redesigned, reinforced, and reopened in 2016. This time with an award-winning spillway, the first of its kind in Iowa, the aptly named Labyrinth.
The labyrinth is kind of a zigzag shape, and this labyrinth controls the pool. And it also allows for the river just to maintain its normal flow as if this dam was never here.
The shape effectively makes the spillway about 3 times longer than a straight design in the same space, meaning the labyrinth can pass huge amounts of water compared to the old spillway.
It's a night and day comparison. There is no comparison. With this design, it's going to make it safer for the downstream people as far as not having a major catastrophic flooding event happen again.